Hotep, I am the Amen Osiris, the one and only undisputed God of law. We are deception stoppers, the 4D destroyers. I am not a lawyer. This is not a law firm. I do not advocate that you don't support your human offspring. I simply advocate that you made them in private. You take care of them in private. And today, brethren, you are going to learn that you are free. You cannot be ordered to pay 4D. Okay? Got a little rhyme to it too. All right. My email address, if you want to hit me up, 4D_destroyer at yahoo.com. And we're going to dive right into this, gentlemen. You've been hoodwinked. In this session, what I'm attempting to do is deprogram you. Okay. You have to deprogram yourself. If you do not, you're going to constantly have this problem. And this applies to every aspect of your life as well. But I'm doing it specifically for child support. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go some definitions here. Okay. And I pulled this out of the Glossary of Common Child Support Terms, and the other definitions come out of Black's Law's Revised 4th edition. All right. Great book, gentlemen. All right. This is the definition of a child support order: the document that sets an amount of money that is to be provided by a parent for the support of the parent's children and or the responsibility to provide health insurance or medical support for the children. This amount or responsibility must be established by court order or administrative process, voluntary agreement in states or tribes where such agreements are filed in the court or agency of the administrative process as an order and are legally enforceable, or other legal processes. Now let's stop there. Okay. What do you see that is wrong in this paragraph that I just read you? Okay. Gentlemen, looking up these words is very, very, very important. Okay. And I'm going to get to the heart of why we're doing this video in a minute. All right. But I want you to see this. So, responsibility, the obligation to answer for an act done or to prepare any injury it may have caused. All right. So the only act that they can be saying that is done in here is paternity establishment. See? Okay. You see that? Okay. Whether it's through marriage, default, that's the act done. Okay. Now, what is an order? A legally binding decision by an entity authorized to enter orders. Okay. Enter orders. So you're authorized to enter orders. Wonderful. If a parent does not obey a support order, he or she may be found in contempt of court. That is impossible. Okay? It is impossible. There is no such thing as a court order against you. Okay? It's against the non-custodial parent. And what you're doing is you're being the guarantor for that non-custodial parent. Okay? And in the process of doing so, by you becoming surety for it, okay, you promised to provide the commercial energy for it, is what you did. See? And hold on. Wait a minute. All right, sorry about that. Okay, and this is what happens when you succeed to the status of a non-custodial parent. All right, you become a guarantor. A guarantor is a person who becomes secondary liable for another's debt or performance. One who promises to answer for the debt default or miscarriage of another. All right, so what you're doing is you became secondary liable for the Social Security Administration's debt. Okay, that's what a guarantor is. So when you succeed to the status of non-custodial parent, you're becoming a guarantor for the Social Security Administration's debt. All right, that debt is a lien levied against their property. You're just providing you're being the guarantor for it. Okay, you're providing the commercial energy for it. All right, but here is where most men fail. Okay, and this right here, everything that I'm going to teach you trumps a 4D order. All right, first you're going to look in your Bill of Rights in the Constitution. Gentlemen, your rights do not come from the Constitution. All right, it merely lists the rights that they're not supposed to mess with. You got way more rights than what they say. But your most powerful right is here. It says, excuse me, all men are by nature free. Okay. I've already taught you the independence and I've showed you that you become dependent. But more importantly, let's talk about free. All right, I've taught you this before, but we're going to go in a little bit harder. Free means not subject to the legal constraint of another, unconstrained, having the power to follow the dictates of his own free will. Okay, as long as you don't harm anybody, you have the right to live outside of any government influence in your life. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers, all right, from the consent of the governed. All right. So if you don't consent, then their powers are not just. You are free. All right. You have a free will. All right. But here's the catch. Consent, voluntarily yielding the will to the proposition of another. Okay? That's the only way their powers are just. And I keep telling you, if you stop doing what you're doing, you'll stop getting what you're getting. Hmm? Let's move on. So, oops, sorry about that. Now, here's the funny part. The Child Support Enforcement Paternity Establishment Program, enacted in 1975, was a response by who? Congress. Okay? So, the Title 4D program is the will of Congress. Okay? If you consent to the will of Congress, then you become subject to, liable, subordinate, subservient, inferior, obedient. Okay, look, where'd it go? If a parent does not obey a support order, he or she may be found in contempt of court. Well, hold on. Wait, you're free. When did you consent to this? When did you consent to be governed? When did you consent to say, okay, I'm going to waive my status of free, which is not subject to the legal constraint of another, and I'm going to consent to be subject, liable, subordinate, and subservient, and inferior, and obedient to you? When did that happen? Think about that. If you really look at it, and gentlemen, this is, again, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Okay, these are your rights. You're free. That's your status right there. That Listen, there's nothing more powerful than free, and there's nothing cheaper than free. Real talk. Okay, but the Constitution is put in place so, number one, the government was created to be a benefit, security, and protection of your right to be free. Okay, and all your other rights. This is your main right. You have a right to not even deal with government. Okay? They say, oh, well, you violated a statute. Well, I didn't. When did I become liable or subject to that statute? Last I checked, I was free. All right? It's the same way, like if they get you, well, you want to go buy a rifle or a shotgun, right? You gotta fill out this paper so they can do a background check on you. But yet in the Constitution, it says the right to bear arms shall not be questioned. Okay? But in this child support case, their powers, if you do not consent to it, then their powers are not just, and you trump the order. Okay? I told you, stop paying it. Gentlemen, listen. If you're not willing to sacrifice the independence that you have on the government, you're going to fail. You're going to consistently fail. Okay? I get so many emails. Oh, my driver's license. It ain't your driver's license. Oh, my passport. It ain't your passport. It's their shit. Because if it was yours, they couldn't take it. Well, you know what I mean. All right. Think about that. So, if you're free and not subject to the legal constraint of another, then that trumps the child support order. It kills it right there. Now, don't get it twisted. All right. You're going to have to go and fight for it. Just throwing this in there, they're going to tell you, oh, we're not here for this. You're going to take these people to court. Okay. I don't want to be bothered with these people. I didn't apply for any of their services. All right. There's no possible way that this single and separate unit, which is alone and apart and by itself, has any authority. All right. They have no authority to issue anything pertaining to me. I don't know these people. Okay. I don't care what you got. I don't care if you got blood sample, tissue samples, paternity. I no longer consent. Once you no longer consent, that's it. If you trying to get with a chick and y'all getting all hot and steamy, right? Y'all on the couch and you doing them things, right? And you thinking you about to get some. When she says stop and you don't stop and you proceed, that's rape. Okay. So at this juncture, it's I no longer consent. All right, I don't consent to this. I'm stepping back to my status of man. And the Constitution guarantees that you must leave me alone as a man because I am free. I do not consent to anything that you're doing. All right. And I'm done with you. That's it. If you pass that line, then it is what it is. You sitting there worried about your driver's license and all that other stuff. Listen, look at it like this. Driver's licenses are not free. You have to pay for them. So if you don't have it, then they go through all the rigmarole of taking out the car and all this other stuff. That's extortion. Okay, it's extortion. Passports ain't free. The only thing free, you'll notice, check this out, state IDs, anything that identifies any type of identification from the state, it is not free. Vehicle registrations, they are not free. You have to pay for them. Now, that being said, what's the one thing that you don't have to pay for? The Social Security card. Because it pays for itself through your being the guarantor and providing the commercial energy for it. Okay. Oh man, but I need my license. I do. Okay, well, guess what? If you need all that, then quit your fighting and pay him to shut up. All right. If you're not going to stand on your rights, okay, then yeah, you must obey the order. But if you stand on your rights, hold on, wait. I'm a man. I'm free. I'm not subject to your to the legal constraint of another. Who's the another? The child support, the federal office of child support enforcement, the uh, the single and separate agency operating in the state, the single and separate agencies operating in the county, and their 45 CFR 75.2 contractors and their employees, agents, and subcontractors. You're not you're not subject to the legal constraint of any of those people. And unless they can prove it, well, sir, we have a court order. Yeah, okay. You can have whatever you want. I'm not subject to your court order. Show me somewhere where I said I consent. Prove that I voluntarily yielded my will to the proposition of another. What is a proposition? It's an offer, gentlemen. What is an offer? All right, look, let's see. Oop, wait, there we go. Offer, to bring to or before, to present for acceptance or rejection. All right. The legal power of creating an obligation called a contract. Okay. Where's the contract? I don't. Somebody's making you a proposition. It's presented for what? Look, it's to present for acceptance or rejection. Okay. So I well, let's see. I reject your offer. All right. Well, you're making me a proposition. You're asking me to voluntarily yield my will to that of the United States Congress, which is a foreign corporation in respect to any state that you're in. All right. United States is a federal corporation. Unless you're a federal employee residing under federal jurisdiction, then Congress's will does not have any effect on you. Okay. You are not subject to, you can't be under the law. Okay. And gentlemen, as I stated before, they have what's called child support statutes and provisions. Statutes are not law, they are legislative rules of society. When did you become subject to the legislative rules of society? The legal society, the law society. Those are bylaws, as a matter of fact. Bylaws they come from municipal corporations. Okay, so you have to stop consenting. Are you really, really ready to go fight? All right. Are you really ready to set yourself free? It's just this simple. Okay. Paperwork is good, yes, there's nothing wrong with a fight, but if you don't know how much power you actually have and the government does not, if you don't realize that they need your consent to have just powers, okay? And if you consent, then you're no longer free. Then you become subject to. You accepted their offer, their proposition. And they've been doing this for years. They got everybody so dumbed down. The Amen Osiris is going to, all right, I'm going to get your mind right here. I'm going to deprogram you. You need to deprogram yourself, rather. Okay? If you don't listen, this paragraph right here, well, not paragraph, but these sentences, if you cannot quote this verbatim and know it verbatim, okay? Know it verbatim, word for word. Okay, if you stand on this, sir, I don't consent. I don't consent and I waive all the benefits thereof. Well, sir, I'm free. I'm not subject to your legal constraint. I have the power to follow the dictates of my own free will. As long as I'm not harming anybody, doing any property damages or fraud or anything like that, I'm rejecting your offer. Well, your child, sir, there's a child support order. No, there isn't. All right. I don't have a child support order. I don't have any children. I have offspring. Okay. Children are positively identified by the Social Security Administration. All right. By the Social Security number, which is the property of the Social Security Administration. Anything identified by a Social Security number is the property of the Social Security Administration. Okay. I did not at any time become the guarantor, all right, the secondary and liable for the debt of the Social Security Administration. All right, that's their children on paper. Then you go talk to them. Oh, sir, you're the non-custodial pay rent. The non-custodial pay rent / obligor is also identified by the Social Security number, which also makes it the property of the Social Security Administration. I'm a man, baby. I'm free. You got me confused with somebody else. You can't. Nobody can own me, and I'm not providing my commercial energy or becoming surety for that number. It ain't gonna happen. Ain't my debt. Okay, and what do you expect me to pay it with? Huh? Ain't no gold or silver. All right, just threw that out there. So, gentlemen, your 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 freedom is worth everything. Okay. Now, I admit that most of these wars aren't about freedom. Case in point, right? When you hear these people say on the news, "Well, the freedom of our country is at stake," freedom of seriously. So wait a minute, you're over there fighting a war on foreign soil, which has nothing to do with us. Y'all just want that oil and poppy seeds, and you're saying you're doing that for our freedom, but yet back here, you get no freedom. All right, red, white, and blue represents the color of freedom until that shit's flashing behind your car. Then what? All right. You ain't free. You man, and you have any type of run-in with a cop, that could cost you your life. It could cost you your freedom, and it's getting worse out there. All right. Get your mind right. Stop being programmed. Okay. Now, the funny part is the 42 USC 654-3 single, which means alone, and separate, which means apart and by itself, for the agency is placed in what's called an umbrella company, which is now the Department of Health and Human Services or Social Services or Attorney General, blah 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 blah. Okay. That's under the executive branch. If the government was created to be a benefit, security, and protection of your rights, then perhaps the executive branch should um, step up and say, well, how is this benefiting me? Benefit is profit or gain from something. This ain't, it's advantageous. This ain't no benefit to me. I don't want nothing to do with this. I don't consent to this. And as such, you have no just powers. Okay. You can take this to court all day. All right. And if you're going to take it to court all day, then make sure that you get a detached and neutral judge who is not under a Title 4D contract. And for those of you who have gone in and have quoted these contracts and they say, I don't know what you're talking about, Okay, 45 CFR 302.30, 302.34, 31 USC 63, 31 USC 6305, under 45 CFR 303.107C terms and conditions. I want to see those contracts. Are you acting under the Constitution today? Are you a judge? Are you acting under your oath of office today? All right. If they tell you, well, we're not here for that. Well, I am. No, sir, we're not here for that. Well, then you know what? I'll just keep it moving. Okay. And then if they're going to come after you and do what they're going to do after that, you sue them. All right. Don't think that they're not going to do this dumb stuff that they do. But man, there's casualties in war. No boxer gets in the ring and does not get hit. You're going to take a few blows. But that's why you must strengthen your power, which is your knowledge. Knowledge is power. Then the truth will set you free. Okay. Child support order is void in accordance with the Bill of Rights. All right. Stop doing what you're doing and stop getting what you're getting. All right. Your life depends on it. Your freedom depends on it. And gentlemen, I'm telling you, man, there's nothing like being free. Okay. Nothing. It's nothing more powerful than free. And more importantly, you have the right to not even want to be bothered with the government. Okay. And if the government comes at you, well, you don't have a driver's license. Are they free? Well, no, you got to pay for them. All right. Well, if you're going to take me to jail for not having something that the law requires me to pay for, what is that? That's kidnapping. That's Al Capone shit right there. Oh, your car ain't registered. Are registrations free? No, they're not. Okay. Why do I got to pay you to register my property? Are you crazy? I don't need your registration for what? What purpose is that serving me? What benefit is it to me? How will I profit or gain from having a vehicle registration or a driver's license? Somebody explain that. But yet you go so crazy about having them. Oh, you can't drive without it. Okay. You better start looking up them words. All right. Stop crying about these people and get off your ass and do something about it. Make a statement. Okay. You have to do the same thing they're doing. We're here for this. Oh, sir, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. And if they keep trying to talk, sir, I'm not here. I'm not here for that. And if they say, one more word out of you, I'm holding you contempt of court. Are you a judge? Because if you're enforcing child support, you're not a judge. You're a contracted agent of a foreign corporation in the executive branch. You're also violating the separation of powers mandate. And if you are a judge, you're also in violation of your oath because you swore to obey and defend the Constitution of this state, the United States. All right. Once you sign that contract under those 107C terms, you abandon that oath. This is a private business now, and you're demanding money. Clearfield Trust versus United States. Gentlemen, the floor is yours. Okay, get your mind right. Know your rights. Okay, know your rights. You got to start looking up your words. Obey, order, authorize. I didn't authorize. Look, the only way I can the government is authorized to do anything pertaining to me or you is if you consent to it. That's what gives them authorization. Without your consent, they're not authorized. All right, a legally binding decision entity authorized to enter orders. I didn't authorize you to enter no orders on my behalf. Who are you? I don't know you. I'm free. And ask them, look, is this a government agency? So you're a government agency. Okay. So if you're a government agency, then you are subject to the Bill of Rights. You are subject to Article 1, subsection 2, where it says governments were created to be a benefit, security, and protection of the people, which means you cannot go any further. That's what the Constitution was put there for. Okay? Leave us alone. It's just that simple. Do you want to be left alone? What are you willing to do for it? What are you really willing to do to obtain your freedom? What are you willing to go through? Really? What are you willing to sacrifice to have your life free and clear of the 4D crime family? Think about that. When you can answer that question and then you can start effectuating your will, okay, unconstrained, having the power to follow the dictates of your own free will. You can't do that now. Oh man, I gotta go to court. That's not following your own free will. Right? Oh, I gotta go register my car. That's not your free will. That's the will of the legislature. All right, you're following the legislative rules of a society, as opposed to forgetting that you're not even subject to it. And the only way you become subject to it is you got to consent to it. And if you don't consent to it, then the powers are not just. I'm the Amin Osiris. All right, bang my email if you need me. All right, and gentlemen, know your rights, know their limitations, and start fighting. Hotep.